Good morning and welcome to my Monday messages. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Rebecca and I'm a homeopath. I'm a holistic life coach and natural health advocate. And I like to just come in here on a Monday and just share something to start your week off with, a thought, a simple practice, a tip, something that I have found works for many of us to be able to live our lives as healthily as possible, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So today, I wanted to talk about something that's really come to mind because there's a lot of people and a lot of posts out there about people not fully recovering from the various respiratory illnesses that are around at the moment, coughs, colds, flus, and other things. And it very much reminded me of one of the major things that we understand as homeopaths, which is the never been well since. And one of the things that we look for when we're first taking somebody's case is a possible etiology for the illness or state of health or dis-ease that somebody is in when they come to see us. So, and often it's lovely if somebody comes in actually and says, well, I have a sense that it all went wrong after that car crash, or nothing's been the same since my mother died, or actually since the flu. And never been well since the flu is a very well understood thing that has been around for at least a century. And it put me in mind of how much energy and time and tools and understanding that we maybe give or don't give to recovering from an illness or an event or a trauma or anything where our health has actually shifted. And in this case, I'm talking about health shifting downwards, but actually, obviously, then the polarity can also be true, which is that anything that happens to us can shift our health in a positive way as well. And often illnesses, coughs, colds, flus, all of those things, acute illnesses, can be an opportunity to start throwing things out that we don't need, doing a bit of a house clearing, and enable us to finish something that's maybe been started a long time previously. But anyway, the time and the effort that we give to fully recovering ourselves will make the difference between whether we are actually enabling ourselves to finish that illness or that processing fully and completely and be in a new state of health, because we always are after anything. Whether that's positive or negative is up to your interpretation. But if you do have a sense that you haven't really fully got back to health after an acute illness, then this is where one of the many areas where homeopathy can be incredibly useful, a really powerful tool. And it's something that, as I say, homeopaths have been used to dealing with for a century or so. So it's not a new concept to us. But I was really, really heartened to read an excellent article that was published in The Guardian in the UK a couple of days ago, I think. It was actually written by a GP working in Edinburgh in Scotland, Gavin Francis. So if you have a chance to go onto the Guardian site, or that you take delivery, does anyone do that anymore, of an actual newspaper, then have a look at it. It's a long article, but it's really excellent. And what I was heartened by is his focus on the importance of fully recovering, of convalescence, of allowing ourselves to firstly understand that when we are ill in some way, when we're diseased in some way, so we're knocked off balance, whether that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, or all three, once we've processed whatever it is that needs processing, the illness, if you want, for lack of a better expression, it doesn't mean we are automatically in full health again. Society encourages us these days to get right back on the saddle as soon as we've stopped vomiting or stopped, not being able to breathe, or, whatever it is. There's very little recognition of the amount of effort and energy that is involved in having done that internal battling, if you like, or work. And therefore, that most of the time you are in a depleted state of health, and you need to actually rebuild yourself and put in the right tools, do the right things. And one of the things that this GP said, which is really heartening, and I'll read it for you, drugs can be the least of healing. And the idea that therapies must be something that you swallow or inject, that they should be pills or syrups or infusions, is manifestly untrue. I've seen choirs, walking groups, gardening clubs, and voluntary work revolutionise the health of patients of mine. And there are many opportunities, frequently unexploited, for patients to become their own best physicians, often with the help of non-medical agencies. Now, for obvious reasons, that's music to my ears. And I'm not talking necessarily, and neither is he, about going to other therapists, although, of course, I would advocate that. But I'm talking about the importance of recognising that there are many other elements to helping us recover from any dip in our health. Even Florence Nightingale understood and observed that patients of hers who were given beds where there was a view, an outlook on nature of some sort, were much more likely to recover quickly and fully than those that weren't. So there are a number of much more nebulous, less clinical components to recovery. Thank you very much for the thumbs up, and I can see there's a few of you on, so you're very welcome. So I'm just encouraging everybody really to really understand that if you have been ill in any way, or if you have had some kind of shock, some kind of trauma, anything at all where you feel your health has changed in some way and that you don't feel the same as you did. Perhaps your energy is, less than it was, or your digestion has changed, for example, very common. Or, that was when something started. The chances are that is your body's way, or your mind's way, or all of you. It's your way of expressing that you haven't fully recovered, that you haven't fully got back to being fit and healthy and all of those things. And homeopathic remedies plus all sorts of other things can be a brilliant way of just finishing things off and allowing that process to happen in its entirety. And then you're left with a much truer picture of who you are and how you work. I liked, again, from this article, the description of, things like convalescence and how individual it is. Everyone has a different tempo of convalescence and will require different strategies. It's normal that the process can be slow, and normal too for long-term illness to vary in its manifestations from person to person. Of course, music to any holistic therapist's ear. Really encouraged that what I read in this article was from a GP. I really get encouraged by, I think, the number of GPs and pharmaceutically trained practitioners who are starting to realise this and are starting to question the value of putting pharmaceutical medicine up on a pedestal as being the pinnacle of healthcare and the only component, because it's simply not true. And I think we do ourselves a great disservice by worshipping at that altar. So whatever your beliefs are, whatever system of medicine you choose to treat yourself with, whatever illness you've had, whatever event or trauma or loss or anything that you've experienced, and also I should add, no matter how far back that was, as a homeopath and as a QTT practitioner, I am more than skilled at being able to support you in being able to finish that process, to free up the energy that is involved with that not being completed, whatever it is, and to allow yourselves to actually go out and live your life as fully and as healthily as you're able to do. So I hope that's helpful. It's a thought, really, that's my message today, and just a kind of reframing maybe for some of you that, whether you choose to take a pill, have an injection, take a tincture, whatever it is, very seldom is that the only thing needed for you to be in your full health. There are lots and lots of other components to health, and the more that we understand that, and the more that we engage in practices that feed us rather than take from us, then the better health will be. Lovely. Thanks for the hearts. So I hope that makes sense. And do comment if you've had any experience of anything that's helped you, no matter how nebulous. The guy who wrote the article actually cites patients of his who only recovered once they were able to join something that they enjoyed and do something that gave them joy, whatever that is. Now, that might be joining a choir, or doing yoga, or listening to music, or actually, in his own case, recovering from illness, he needed to drastically reduce his working hours in order to fully recover. Whatever it is, then just welcoming those shifts as part of your full recovery will make a massive difference. And actually, I should just add that I'm a little bit disturbed with all the reports at the moment about illnesses that are going on and on and on, and framing that as, people are just not recovering and they're ill for long lengths of time. Now, we may be experiencing a reset or recalibration or a kind of convalescence period that is over a long period of time. It doesn't necessarily mean that the original dis-ease or illness is getting worse. It just means that usually that we're not giving it enough time. Major factor. Convalescence, even back in the beginning of the century, was a big thing. People understood that they needed to recover. They needed to go to sanatoriums. They needed to, go, if they could afford it, go to things like, the sanatoriums or spas in Switzerland, or take the waters in Bath, or, whatever it is. Now, Sarah's saying such an important thought, especially right now. Yes, absolutely, Sarah. So to give us time to reset ourselves and to fully recover and put those tools back into the body so that we can actually, either get back to ourselves or hopefully be an even better version of ourselves. We can't continue to just think that we can pop a pill and as long as we're not expressing any uncomfortable symptoms, we're back to full health. It's just not true. I'll leave you with another quote from the article, which says, "The word rehabilitation comes from the Latin habilis, meaning, among other things, apt or fit, and carries the sense of restoration, to stand, make, or be firm again. The aim of rehabilitation, then, should be to make someone as fit as they can be, to stand on their own feet if they're able, and to recover as much mobility and independence as possible if they are not." And he says, whether it's our knees or skulls that need to heal from an injury, or lungs from a viral infection such as COVID-19, or brains from a concussion, or minds from a crisis of depression or anxiety, I often have to remind my patients that it's worth giving adequate time, energy, and respect to the process of healing. So there you go. That's my thought for the week, is to just have a look at whether you are experiencing a never been well since. And it might not be recent. It might be 10 years ago or 20 years ago even. And for a homeopath, that's no big deal, because we've been working like that for a long, long time. And the remedies that we select are powerful and deep and able to help support anybody in getting through any never been well since. So I hope that makes sense. And do let me know if it doesn't, of course. Just let me see if there's anybody else there that I can say hello to. Okay, good morning, Gronya. How are you? So yeah, not to be too frightened of not feeling yourself after an illness, because perhaps you're not meant to feel exactly the same as you were before you got ill. Perhaps you're actually transmuting or transitioning into an even better version of yourself. So giving yourself that time and that recovery and the right tools for you, and it will be unique to you, is very important. So I'll leave you with that thought. Have a fantastic week, and do ask me any questions. I've written a blog on this. I actually wrote it a while ago, so I'm going to post a link to that at some point this week, so you can have a read of that too. But I'm a big fan of not getting back to work or getting back to parenting or doing whatever you're doing normally too quickly, because that's when we get stuck in a state of health that we don't find helpful, because it takes energy to not fully recover from things. So that's my message today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful, conscious week, minding yourself as healthily as possible. Okay, take care. Bye.